A pleasant afternoon to you. The program is Nigerian Now, where we look at certain policies, governance, and every other thing that affects us as Nigerians. And we will encourage you to keep a tap with us on our Facebook, as we'll be doing or actually talking about quite a number of issues in Nigeria, and we'd love to have your take on that. I am Sele Elisha Dasham, and I'll be doing the program together with Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon, Sele.
All right. Now let us get the ball rolling by looking at what the federal government have said. We had a controversy where Pengassan said that the federal government is still paying subsidy, but yesterday it happened where the NNPC DG Mele Kyari came out to debunk that and said that they are not paying the subsidy. Now, quite a number of things, Richard. The fact that the federal government is denying that, saying that they are not paying. Yesterday, we saw when Pengassan came out in person of Osufo, when he came out to say that the federal government is still paying the subsidies because the landing cost of petrol is a bit high, and then a number of things are going on. And the reason why we are having scarcity of fuel, or the reason why some of the fuel stations are being shut down, is because of the fact that there is some delays on the road, marketers, and then quite a number of misreaction, because as it is presently, marketers are no longer the other people where we're giving license can no longer import oil again. So as it is right now, it is only NNPC that has the monopoly of actually importing, and then they are also targeting next year to start exporting oil out of the country. So quite a number of revelation about what the government is hoping to do and how the government hope to actually control all of the things that is going on. So I would like to have your own take about all of the revelation coming from the federal government.
So a lot is happening concerning subsidy removal, and then the federal government has come out time with our numbers telling us that, you know what, yes, fuel subsidy removal has come to stay, is not going anywhere. However, we can't help but speculate that there's still fuel subsidy. And then the reason is that this is also coming from marketers. However, by so many factors around, like many factors, we can't help but to say that yes, fuel subsidy is still there. Whereas we are seeing NNPCL boss coming to say that no, there's no longer fuel subsidy. Now, let's not forget that the president promised us that fuel pump price won't go high, and we are seeing that promise is still staying the way it is, because by nature and how virtue of things are going, fuel pump price is supposed to increase naturally. Why? Crude oil price has changed.
True.
Automatically, that should affect the price, because we are not refining our oil here. We are importing this oil. So these countries are buying crude oil at a higher price. Therefore, they are refining and, of course, exporting it back to us at a very higher price. So even for that alone, there should be an increase in the fuel pump price, because automatically landing price is going to change. And that's what we're seeing the marketers coming from and saying landing price for petrol have changed, that therefore it means that the federal government is still giving subsidy. Now, secondly, for some reason there is a forex shortage, and all of a sudden marketers cannot import oil. Now it's left only for the NNPCL, meaning even if it's true federal government is giving subsidy, the only person with the monopoly of that information is the NNPCL, because for some reason the forex scarcity is taking out other marketers from play, exactly, and only leaving NNPCL to be the ones there bringing in oil. So automatically you can't say for sure what the federal government is doing about the landing price of oil. Other oil marketers cannot buy, because if other oil marketers are buying, for sure we will not be able by any means to have petrol at the same pump price that it has been for a while now, because even crude oil price per barrel have gone high. And when you put this one or two together, you can't just help but say perhaps federal government are still paying subsidy, but then we will just sit tight, hold them by their word, and perhaps the federal government have found other means and measures to make sure that fuel pump prices remain the same. However, Sele, for me, the one I am looking forward to is the exporting rather of
next year.
Yes, 2024, where we will export petroleum out of this country by 2024. And for me, it is a lot of work. And I'm not, of course, I am a Nigerian who wants the best for Nigeria. However, I want the government of Nigeria to be very realistic with us. For one, for us to be able to export oil, Sele, one refinery cannot do that for us. It has to be more than one. It has to be at least 2, 3, up to 4 refineries, fully functional, are producing at least 300,000 barrels of oil per day, at least from each of these. Now, secondly, we have to keep up with crude oil export. If not, we will no longer be an oil exporting country. It means crude oil production has to be high, because we will need crude oil for Nigeria to be able to refine, and we will need crude oil to export, because we're part of OPEC, because we're oil exporting countries, crude oil specifically exporting countries, and that is why we are part. So we have to not only produce crude oil enough for what will be refined in the country, and then what will be taken out as a finished good to other countries, making us now that we are exporting oil to other countries. And how are we going to achieve that? First of all is oil theft, because we have crude oil getting missing. It needs to stop getting missing for us to miss our daily quota, and also the consumption of at least 60 million liters of petroleum daily in Nigeria. And then secondly, we have to stop bunkering, illegal refining, oil bunkering, and all of that. These are all the things that, whether we like it or not, if the federal government don't put them in place, we will not be exporting oil, Sele. It might sound so good, promising, and all of that, but until we do this work, and trust me, it is a work we can do, but it's not a work for 1 year. It's a work for like the next 2, 3, 4 years before we see, because refineries, no matter the money you put into them, there is a period of time for work. When it comes to theft, there is a period of time for work. So as good as this promise might sound, and it is doable, however, I'm faulting the time frame, and that is where I have a problem concerning this thing that the federal government plans to do.
Richard, you're very right to actually have speculations and then doubting, because just like the whole thing looks like, is it going to be a rocket science? Is it magic? How is the government hoping to be able to achieve exporting oil next year, except if there's an underground war going on in refineries that the nation is not aware of, or Nigerians are not aware of? But just like you said, we will hold the government by their words, hoping to see what next year holds. Quite a number of things coming next year. We're seeing a number of what the president, his long-term planning, which is supposed to start next year, was supposed to roll down to next year. So next year seems to be having pregnant with so many promises.
Yes.
But then right now, all we have to do is just to hope and see that the federal government will keep to their own part of the bargain. We just hope that all of the refineries will be fixed, just like you said. It's not all about one refinery. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 functioning and also exporting. Now, let's take another direction where we're looking at the fact that, still looking at the government. Recently, the president appointed 5 more media aides. And quite a lot of reaction coming from Nigerians, because a lot of people feel that this is the first time in the history of Nigeria where we are having a president having over 28 just for that, for that ministry. And then questions will be like, why do we need so many media aids? I mean, when you take a look at each of the portfolio, I would like the our control room to give us a little of the five more aids that we have. When you look at the portfolio of each of these persons, starting from, we have Fela Durutoye, where he's the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Values and Social Justice. Now, Rachel, I want us to take a look at what they will be doing each. And then we have Frederick, which will be concentrating on public engagement. We have Aliu, whose primary assignment is to concentrate on public affairs. And then we're having Linda, which her responsibilities on the strategic communication. And then finally, we have Francis, whose work is on special duties. Now, Rachel, a lot on our minds. In a time when Nigerians want the cost of governance to be cut down, in a time where right now 1 kg of gas is about 1213, in a time where labor was supposed to go on strike because civil servant salary was not increased as it should be, palliative and not rolling out as they should be rolling out, in a time where, if I write down, transport fare and food price is not the same anywhere in the market, Rachel, you and I know that what the money you were budgeting for last year by this time is not the same. Right now, it's as if everything has increased by 200%. And then here we are seeing that the government has extra aids to actually help him. And a lot of questions in the minds of Nigerians. I mean, what is the work of the Ministry of Information?
What is the work of the Ministry?
Why do we have so many aids to? Are we not duplicating roles? Questions on the minds of Nigerians. So why do we have all these aids? And then in a time where we keep saying, a time where we are looking at cutting the cost of governance, we're seeing where we're having MDAs being merged together because we do not have. I mean, we're expecting that this government should be maintaining a slimmer, cabinet.
Yes.
In a way we can put everything together. Why? Because we're trying to manage the resources in our hands, and then we're having extra aids. I just want to hear what you have to say about that, Rachel.
I mean, Sele, the first question I want to ask is, what is strategic communication? I wish I can ask the president, what is strategic communication? Communication by its nature is strategic. It is very strategic. You don't have to have a special advisor on strategic communication. I don't even know what that means. I'm trying to wrap my head around
that.
What strategic communication means, that it has to have a senior special advisor for strategic communication. And then when you look at every other thing, national value and social justice, public engagement, special duties, and then you just keep wondering, like, this is a wow factor for me in a lot of way, because I am just seeing offices created that don't need to exist in the first place. What is strategic communication? Communication by its nature is strategic. If something should happen, you don't need to have a special advisor on strategic communication, because communication in its nature, its future, it comes that from as strategic. You know who you're addressing, you know who you're speaking to, you know what time, you know what happened, But yet we are seeing the presidency coming up with an office of senior special advisor on strategic communication. And you wonder, what more does this administration have for us? Because it's like our president is on an appointment spree. It's just shopping for advisors and aides left, right, center. And then you wonder, what is the Ministry of Information for? Because under the Ministry of Information, all of these things are covered. All of this. And the president already have his media aide, already have his spokesperson, already have the person that will come up, public relation officers, all the people that are expected to speak. And yet we are seeing more offices created, that there is already someone with that role and job description somewhere. And then we are now seeing them being spread across. And then you can't just help but think, do we have a government that really wants to cut down cost of governance? Because whether we like it or not, these people are not volunteers. They are not interns. Okay, they are here to do a job, they will be paid. And of course, I would like to be valuable if I'm the one giving strategic communication. So I will make sure my office is not redundant, because if I allow it to be like that, it means there's nothing coming to me. So I will sit down and think of 1001 things to let the president know that funding needs to come to my office. And we can talk about every other office that has been created. And we saw it yesterday, Sele, where we are seeing that we are running on deficit, and then one of the high expenditure in this country is personnel costs. And these are the personnel costs we are talking about here. All of these allowance, all of these officers, all these SSAs and SAs and all of that, these are all where we are having an accumulated amount of expenditure that the country is running into deficit, where we have MDAs, where we have ministries, where we are having every other organization and body seated for these jobs, and we are now still seeing the president creating office to do what there are people already in positions to do. And we will see, I feel we're going to see more of these appointments coming from the president, because this is just for media. Who knows what other ministry needs aids and more of that. But then I just truly hope that this will stop, that we will truly have it's time to face the business of Nigeria. There's so much. Enough with the appointments, enough with the appointments, and let's start seeing the work. It's high time we start seeing results of the promises you've made. NLC is waiting for you 30 days, and whether you like it or not, the days are going. So it's time for work, and that's what I'm waiting for from this administration. You're no longer a baby administration. You're just left with 3 years, 7 months, and before you know it, you'll be down to 3 years. Before you know it, you're down with 2 months, and we haven't seen anything. So let the Tinubu administration start doing work, and enough of making appointments.
Not just you, Rachel, a lot of Nigerians are sharing the same concern with the fact that ever since the president got into power, is either one trip or one appointment or another. And a lot of people are saying that maybe ministers will be having extra maybe ministers to maybe sum it up to maybe 50 or maybe more than 50, because quite a number of regions or zones feel they are being left out. And the president has even come under attack based on the fact that we know ever since the issue of his certificate forgery, a lot of, especially coming from the PDP, where we saw the aide saying that even the aide of the article saying that even if the president, like, he should appoint 1,000 aides, that would not save him. But that is just for the for them to face. But we just hope that in all of these things, the president will consider Nigerians, because as it is, just like I said earlier, we do not have the resources, and it's not, we don't want to be an administration that is just wasting everything, and then we just feel like it's nothing. After all, we do not believe that the president is going to use his personal money to pay them.
Of course
they will be paid allowances, they will be paid salaries. So we hope the federal government will do that. Now, just to cap it up, we'd like to look at the federal government also have approved the engagement of retired health workers, and we saw that over the years, Nigeria has been faced with brain drain, talking about the JAPA, where a lot of professionals have been leaving the shores of Nigeria. In fact, recently we've seen that there are needs for health workers a lot, especially when it comes to professionals. We've seen that a lot of teaching hospitals are lacking the professionals that are needed to actually head particular places over there, and there are no people. Back then, I think 2 years back or a year back, we're seeing where 10,000 patients to a doctor. But right now, believe you me, I believe there is almost 20 or even 30,000 patients to a doctor now. How do we expect this doctor to thrive? And now the government has given their approval to engage retired nurses and doctors to work on contract. Now, we said this yesterday, Richard, but I think it will not be out of place if we repeat again today, looking at the fact that how do we want to operate? Because the health sector has been one of the sectors that, honestly, if you ask for my personal opinion, has been neglected over the years. We've not given it the attention that it needs. We've seen the cases about the diphtheria disease in Yobe, and this is an illness that has been spreading. And when you check down to the root, you realize that one thing or the other was not done, and that is why it's spreading. Now, in your opinion, what do you think is the way forward for the federal government to do? while we are having them bringing in our retired health workers back into the system. And they'll be paid salaries again.
They will be.
The salary they were paid before they actually retired.
Yeah.
They will be paid for all of this.
Of course, they will be paid salaries. The difference is that this is just contract. It's for a short period of time. This is the amount you'll be paid. This time when they're done, no gratuity, no pension. They already have that and all of that. This is on contract and base. However, I am yet to see what template the federal government is going to use concerning bringing back these doctors or health workers on contract base. However, I'm hoping it shouldn't be people that are retired for more than 2 years. Let their brains still be functioning. Let them not be that far away from touch of medicine, because I am concerned, very concerned about bringing in retired health workers, be it doctors or nurses. Let's not forget that these people are of age for you to have retired. We're looking at people who are over 60. Secondly, these are people that have served for 35 years. So not only are they 60, we would have those that are probably more than 70 plus. So we're looking at people that are of age. So even if they were once intelligent, they may not be that intelligent anymore. They might not be that strong anymore. They might not be that accurate anymore. They might not be that active anymore. Sele, I am speechless because I am worried. I feel like if the next time I find myself in the hospital and the doctor is looking a little bit old, I might ask, and I know it's going to be very offensive if you ask, but I might be tempted to ask, were you retired? Are you on contract? To know whether I can trust your service or something like that. And it doesn't sound good in any level. So I just hope whatever is the blueprint or the template that the government is going to bring out for who are these doctors that they are going to bring back to service. Of course, they'll have to look at their health, they'll have to look at their track record, and of course they have to be like specialist doctors in certain areas, because I feel this is where we are lacking, where we see in the southeast they're lacking oncology center, and not only but on the oncologists themselves. So I believe that they're going to be specialists, and at least let them not be retired for more than 2 years, so that they will still be strong a little bit. They will still be in touch of science, know what is happening. People who are still reading, not those that have been out of practice for too long and then brought back into the hospital. They will be learning over again, and I don't think anybody will want to be in the hands or under the care of someone who is learning over, regardless of whether you're a very good doctor. As long as you have been out of practice for a very long while, you're no longer that very good doctor again. So it doesn't feel good on any level. I know the federal government of Nigeria is trying by all means, but this is not what they need to do. However, this is not what they need to do, but if this is what they decided to go with, fine. Let them do it well in a way that will not have more lives lost in the hospital rather than just the issues of brain drain.
Rachel, if you ask me, I feel that these retired doctors should be more like consultants, where we have them just consulting at the side, and then we have other doctors. Even though, just like you were saying, you will be tempted to ask. I know I'm a kind of a person that when I go, I actually tend to look at you physically, hope you are still in that age where you can still operate properly. But then I think it's important that the government should pay attention to the health sector. Just look at the reason why we have our doctors living, and more are still living. So it is my desire that the government will actually sit back with the Ministry of Health and say, what can we do? Are we talking about the wages? Because I'm yet to hear resident doctors are still at home, Rachel. Nothing is happening. I don't know if they are back to work again. A lot of public hospitals, you have to go to private hospital to get certain tests, certain checkups and all of that. So just like we rightly state, it's our desire that the government will actually consider the people and do the right thing. Because if you feel because you do not check into the hospital in Nigeria, that is why you're not paying attention, believe me, a time will come where you need the services of this doctor. So we should do them well by actually providing all that they need. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for doing this with me. And thank you to our viewers for keeping the day with us on Nigeria Now. Until we come here again tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.